The scale remains frozen despite absolute discipline. The calories are tracked and the movement is consistent, yet the biological machinery refuses to yield its reserves. The reality is that the body does not operate like a furnace, it functions like a high-performance cooling system. If coolant levels drop below a specific threshold, processors throttle down. They prioritize the prevention of a meltdown over the speed of output. The system isn't listening to the desire for a leaner physique. It is listening to the hydraulic pressure of its own internal environment. When hydration levels fluctuate, the organism interprets this as a shift in the safety protocol. To the biological brain, a drop in fluid availability is a signal of scarcity. In a state of scarcity, the body does not release resources, it hoards them. Lipolysis, the chemical breakdown of fat, is effectively a hydrolysis reaction. It requires water molecules to break the bonds of stored energy. Without a surplus of these molecules, the chemical factory enters a state of gridlock. The cargo is on the docks, but the shipping lanes are too shallow to move. The system perceives a drought, and the priority shifts from performance to survival. There is a threshold where movement stops being a stimulant and starts being a physiological threat. When forced to operate in a dehydrated state, blood viscosity increases. The heart must work harder to circulate a thicker fluid, elevating the baseline stress response. Cortisol levels climb, acting as the universal stop command for fat oxidation. This results in a paradoxical phenomenon. The harder the push without a fluid protocol, the more the system retains every gram of energy. The scale lies because it is measuring the weight of a defensive perimeter, not the success of a metabolic strategy. Think of the metabolism as a hydropower plant. The turbines only spin at maximum efficiency when the water pressure is optimal. If the reservoir level drops, engineers shut down non-essential sectors like fat metabolism to preserve the core. The body ignores the deficit of calories and focuses entirely on the deficit of pressure. The harder the push for results, the deeper the system retreats into its defensive shell. The truth is simpler. The metabolic rate is a fluctuating variable governed by the viscosity of the internal environment. Consuming water at precise intervals functions as a systemic clearance signal. When the body senses a reliable influx of fluid, it downregulates vasopressin, the hormone responsible for water retention. The fluid passport is stamped. This message of abundance allows the shipping lanes to deepen, permitting fat loss to proceed without friction. Beyond the energy spent warming fluid to body temperature, the true value lies in the dilution of metabolic waste. Every chemical reaction produces a byproduct. If these are not flushed out, they accumulate like soot in an engine. Proper hydration acts as a continuous cleaning cycle, ensuring metabolic filters are never clogged. Furthermore, fluid deficiency often causes the hypothalamus to issue generalized seek resource commands, which are frequently misinterpreted as hunger. The body asks for a solvent, but is given fuel, adding load to a struggling system. Transitioning to cooperation requires recalibration. The body is programmed to be skeptical of sudden changes. If there has been chronic marginal hydration, the system will initially hold on to its reserves. However, once the protocol becomes a consistent habit, the security gates lift. The blood thins, the hormonal profile shifts, and the environment transitions from a stagnant pond to a flowing river. To achieve the result, the timing of intake is as critical as the volume. The system views a sudden flood as a chaotic event to be excreted. A consistent drip, however, is perceived as a season of rain. It saturates the tissues and signals that the period of scarcity is over. When this signal is maintained, the body finally grants systemic permission to let go. The resistance dissolves. The final click of the mechanism occurs when the body recognizes it no longer needs to defend itself. The gates open, and the biological machine finally starts cooperating.